Hello, everyone, and welcome to Science and the Soul, bridging the gap between practicality and spirituality. I am your host, Dear James, and my lovely co host, Theladyjaclyn, is off this week. She will be joining us again next week for our riveting Wednesdays and Thursdays shows, and we can't be more excited to present our first featured guest on Science and the Soul. So we'll get into that in a minute and I'll introduce you. As you know, the only way that we know that you are here with us and live is if you give us a shout out in the comments. So just say hello, tell us where you're from, and so forth. And as we go through the show and we're speaking with our first featured guest, put in any questions you may have or comments that you may have, and we'll integrate those throughout the broadcast. So again, this is Science and the Soul, bridging the gap between practicality and spirituality. I'm your host, Dear James. Theladyjaclyn, my beautiful co-host, is off this week. She'll be joining us next week. And I want to just jump in. I am so excited about this. Our first featured guest on Science and the Soul is a dear friend and colleague, fellow spiritual entrepreneur, fellow traveler and journeyer, following her awakening, which is so amazing. And it is Debbie Wilson with Endless Essences. And she primarily focuses right now, she has many modalities under her quills in her quiver, as I say. But she primarily focuses on the soul purpose system, doing soul essence readings. And so I just want to welcome. Hello, Debbie, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, James. It's wonderful to be here today. Thank you for having me.
So happy that you're here with us. And this has been a long time coming. Debbie and I have known each other almost a decade now. And as Theladyjaclyn and I created Science and the Soul, we had talked about bringing and introducing featured guests that would add value to your lives, to broaden and enlighten and so forth with other wellness tools and resources and divinations. And this is what Debbie does, and this is the soul purpose system. It's eerily accurate, and we'll get into I can personally attest to this. It is eerily accurate. When you go on Debbie's website, www.endlessessences.com, go under the testimonials and you will see my testimonial because I know what I speak of, right, Debbie?
Yes, indeed, you do. We had a wonderful session together, and what amazing information comes out of these readings. It absolutely astounds me every single time.
It really is. I mean, and this is why Theladyjaclyn and I wanted to bring this to you. We wanted to have Debbie on, and really it's an honor and a privilege, Debbie, so thank you to be our first featured guest. Yeah, it's very special because the value, the absolute value in the soul purpose system with the soul essence readings, whoa, it's amazing. Well, I'm just speaking
Yeah.
truth. I could just go home now and be like, done, I'm done.
No, it is. We talk about this a lot, and I talk about this with my clients all the time. Every reading that I do is a gift for me because I'm just so excited to share this information with people and the validations that we get throughout. Sometimes I can just ask a question and someone will say, yes, 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 to all of the different nuances of that. And I haven't even divulged any information yet. I've just asked a question based off of the information that I'm receiving through the system.
That's provided. And this is the beauty, too, as well, of why we wanted to do this. The show is Science and the Soul, practicality, spirituality. And the thing about the soul purpose system is the fact that it bridges, it blends these two aspects, the practical, the absolute practicality of it, and its spiritual origins, if you will, its spiritual nature, and how you then, as the practitioner, as the expert doing the readings, how you then incorporate your own intuitive hits with what you
Right.
see for them. And it
Right.
culminates in this, these mic drop moments. And again, read the testimonials, they will speak for themselves. It's really pretty that it's that simple. It's just that simple. Let's go. I just want to just say hello to everybody joining us. And thank you so much for joining us. Brigitte is here. Good morning from Vancouver. Haley, good afternoon. So happy to see you. Hope you're well. We are. You're doing well. Yes, Debbie, you're doing well.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I was reading. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here reading comments as well as you're. Yes,
You're
yes.
like,
It's so
yay.
lovely to see Haley here also. Yeah, so wonderful.
Right. And some of the people listening as well. And then Elizabeth, I'm sorry, there's a user, I don't know, it says Facebook user, but it's, hey, James, great to be joining all the way from Cape Town. Hello, Cape Town.
Yay.
And Haley, what a lovely surprise. I'm going to mention that again. Brigitte, how perfect. I have been thinking of having a session with Debbie, and this just solidified it. Mic drop. Thank you,
Yes.
Brigitte, and you should. I often say, don't walk, run. It's the wonderful. They're empowering, and they're informative. They're spiritual, however, and incredibly practical. I mean, it really is one of these things where you just have the tools are rich. It's much like with the Lady Jaclyn and the human design system. They are absolute beautiful divination tools that allow you to use them, harness them, learn them, incorporate them so as to know thyself more. That's the beauty of the system, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's the part about the system that I love the most. That a lot of times we have readings and we're not necessarily sure if, how do I actually do that in my life? How do I incorporate that? How do I make that change? And the information that comes from these readings, it's really, foundational stuff. So it's, if I'm potentially lacking in authenticity, what can I do to be more authentic? And it's, I have information that I share with people. Okay, this is, if you've got this code and it's in challenge, this is what you can do to work on that, to make that into a gift, transmuting it into a gift. So it's truly practical.
Absolutely. And again, it's insightful. These are, the system is about our self-empowerment. Know thyself. And the more we know
Absolutely.
ourselves, the more able we are, and we'll get into this with the goals, the traits, and the challenges, and so forth, and soul destiny, and so forth. So we're going to bring that up in a minute. However, so the system is meant to help empower us, and that's the purpose of having a soul essence reading with Debbie based on the soul purpose system. Let's just bring up for everybody, and then you can speak to it. I just want to show the actual origin so that people have. I'm going to read this, and then Debbie, you can expand. The soul purpose system has its roots in ancient Hebrew gematria, Kabbalah, numerology, light language, and Egyptian mythology, as channeled by prolific and highly respected channeler Dr. Frank Alper. What I love about this, and this is again where science and the soul, practicality and spirituality. Here are these ancient divination systems. I mean, Hebrew gematria, Kabbalah, numerology, Egyptian mythology, light language. This gentleman channeled this information. And what's so impressive is the accuracy. So you have something that's coming from the unseen, he's channeling it, and yet
Mm-hmm.
its roots, its value, its roots are in these ancient sciences, these ancient divination tools and systems.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is. And, Dr. Frank Alper, he basically channeled this information through the soul of Moses. And so he received all of this information through downloads. And, it's, you look at it and you think to yourself, okay, in and of itself, channeling this information and the accuracy of it. And then, as you're saying, it's based off of all of these ancient systems. And when you do one of these readings, it's, you just can't question it because I don't know these people. And I'm just taking their birth name and from their birth name, getting all this information that's been channeled through. And I'm just the vessel through which the information is being shared, just like you and I always speak about. It's not us, it's we're getting this information and sharing it. And that's our purpose in life, is to, to be that person. So it is amazing how much this is coming from so far back, and yet it's totally practical, it's down to earth, and it's factual.
I think that's the amazing thing is again, it is incorporated based upon, its roots are in these ancient systems. So they're in and of itself. If you've not heard about the soul purpose system, its lineage, its ancestry is based upon these ancient systems. Then you add the aspect of the unseen, that he channeled this information, that he received it this way. Okay, now some people might start to scratch their head and and him and ha and naysay and so forth. Okay. However, as I often say, and it's one of my dear friends, it's his company motto, the end result speaks for itself. And with the soul purpose system, and Debbie knows this about me, if it's happy hooey, as I call it, it's happy hooey. I'm like this, yeah, I'm not having it. I'm not feeling it. This isn't,
Right.
it's happy hooey. But what did I say to you when you did my reading and everything? And again, it's in my testimonial. I was like, oh, this is real. It's profound. It's eerily accurate.
Right.
It's revealing. That's what I loved about it, is that it's revealing. And again, I go back to much like DeLadyJaclyn and the human design system. They're very revealing. They are very empowering. They're very helpful tools. And share Debbie with everyone before we go farther, because I'm going to come back to the gematria aspect of it. Share with everyone kind of like your personal why, like why did you come to this? Why is this right now your purpose?
Absolutely. So years ago, I had a reading done for myself. And I'm not sure if I wasn't quite at the point where I was ready to take those steps, but and I think there was also, if I'm being very authentic and real here, there was some hiding I was doing, and there were pieces that I wasn't necessarily willing to see about myself that the reading actually stated, but I wasn't quite ready to see. And it took me probably about 2 years after having had that reading to find my way back to it again. And when I looked back on the information, and I had a second one done, I really could see the truth and the validity in it. And it scared me a tad bit because it was so accurate. But I had been blinded to seeing some of it. And that was also in my chart, that would be the case. And so it just was this journey of awakening to my own truth and really looking at this system and saying, wow, if you can just take my birth name, and we can look at this on the others in another part of the show if you want to, but people think their birth name is by chance. It is not. And this just proves it, because when you look at someone's birth name and you do the whole system, it brings it to light, all of the things that people are experiencing in their life. And that's what happened for me. I was able to see it and suddenly realize, yeah, this is something I have to pursue, because it's part of my soul destiny to share this information.
Yes, and yes, that is really epic right there, is that you felt the call. You
Exactly.
aligned with the calling. You came back to it. And I your name, I had 2 points here. One is your name, our name, is your soul destiny, your soul essence, your soul purpose. It is so empowering. And we'll come into that in the gematria part in a second. The other thing is that you spoke to, which was, at the time you had the reading done yourself, and it spoke truths that you weren't ready for. And so you cycled back to it.
Correct.
And I was a part of that awareness, because Debbie is the one that introduced this to a group of us, a small group of us, that we were collaborating and working together and soul traveling and journeying together. And so it's interesting to see it come full circle. And the point of this that I'm raising for everyone listening is we're not always ready for things immediately. And the truths, we may need that time, that to take that beat, that moment, and then to come back to it and go, okay, now I'm ready to receive this. Now I'm ready to hear now I'm ready to see. And it's that beautiful, again, Master Jesus saying that statement, the teacher always presents themselves when the student is ready. And,
Right.
that beautiful, for those with eyes to see, ears to hear. It's like when we're
Hmm.
ready, it will present itself. And you, in that
Right.
way, it presented itself to you in the reading, and then you came back to it,
Right.
and then it morphed even further into this main component of endless essences and what you're doing, what you're offering. And
Well,
so,
and I think it's also interesting because I was ready to have the reading. So I was drawn to it. So I was ready to receive significant portions of it. There were just little nuances of things that I was still sort of hiding from, and from myself. And so that was the come
absolutely.
back to, and then look at that and say, okay, so now there's another layer of this now that I'm ready to receive. And then the next layer on that of, I meant to share this information. I meant to expand on it and really share and help people on their soul journeys.
And so beautifully stated, because there's not a human or a being, let me say, on the planet that doesn't know what you speak of, meaning we all become ready when we're ready. We all take in
Hmm.
what we take in at the moment, and
Right.
then we evolve. Or we make the choice not to.
Correct.
To reject something, to, oh no, that's not me and that doesn't exist. And okay, okay, until it does. And yes, there are times where something may not be, but this is where it's just, again, it's one of these divination tools, one of these resources, these tools that's eerily accurate. I'm going to keep
Right.
utilizing that term, that phrase.
Hmm. Hmm.
Want to add in, hello, Lori. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And then Haley said, yes, it really does ignite that inner child wonder when such accurate information comes through, which definitely helps to ignite that fire and start or increase that awakening. Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. And she's speaking to exactly what I was referencing for myself, having
Absolutely.
that moment of, yes, I'm ready to receive this. Oh, there's layers of what I'm ready to receive. And it increased my awakening. It started to awaken me further and allowed me to take steps that maybe I wouldn't have otherwise taken.
And let's speak to the layers really quickly, because that's important too. When we look at all the divination tools and we go from numerology, tarot, astrology, human design, soul purpose, I mean, these are just a few. Sabian symbols. There are many ancient, the I Ching, major ancient systems or
Mhm.
tools. And the point that I'm making is what I love about and intuiting. I just left out what I do, but it's true. Intuiting. Oh, I'm laughing. I'm like, oh yeah, there's intuiting. I forgot about that. Hello. Anyways, what I find is with intuiting, with human design, and with the soul purpose system, they are three divination systems, three divination tools that have a more immediate impact, an immediate
Mhm.
practicality, a reception. You can receive it rather quickly, and yet it's multifaceted. It has layers. The more deep you want to go, the more it unfolds and so forth. Whereas when you do astrology, numerology, and so forth, tarot, I Ching, they have, I mean, all of these do, they have great depth, great complexity. And so
Mhm.
the point that I'm making is the beauty with human design, intuiting, and soul purpose system is a more immediate receive, and then you can dive and dive and dive and dive,
Mhm.
where the others may take a lot more um, wisdom, knowledge, effort, so forth.
I agree with that. I find in certain tools, they're a little bit more obscure, and you need to be able to read between the lines. Whereas with the soul purpose system, it's very specific. It will tell you very specific challenges that if you possess these numbers, that you would probably be experiencing in your life, talents, etc. So it's very specific. And I think that makes it that much easier to incorporate into your life and to make changes and grow from.
Absolutely. That's the real point. There's an immediacy, there's a tangibility, there's a practicality, and yet the beauty of the fact that it has the spiritual aspects to it. And this is true of the soul purpose system, human design, intuiting. They come in this way. They're literal, practical, tangible, immediate. And with the others, they do require to really truly understand astrology. I mean, I awe at the people that truly master the mathematics of it, the complications, meaning just the complexity. That's the word, complexity.
Right, it's very complex.
It's
Correct.
really amazing. So again, we bring these. Let's jump in real quickly to the gematria aspect before we. I want to go to Brigitte and Lori's comments as well. Gematria, everything is energy, and it's based on our names. The soul purpose system is based on your birth name, the name on your birth certificate.
Correct.
What most people, and you and I have talked about this many times, most people do not know the etymology of their name or names.
Correct.
First, middle names. Certain religions, you have 4 middle names. I mean, so what you want to do, and what I do with intuitive readings, what the soul purpose system is completely based on in terms of looking it doesn't need your date, time, place of birth. It's based on your name. When I do intuitive readings, one of the first things I do is, what's the name? What's the etymology of their name? Because what you find, as you were talking about at the top of the hour, Debbie, it's purposeful. It's not an accident. It's not something your parents just pulled out of a hat, or old Aunt Gladys, you're named after old Aunt Gladys. That's, we get some funny thing that you're named after your mom or dad or your great aunt or what, okay. And people stop. They never look at, what does your name mean?
Right.
What is the energy of that?
Exactly. And it's so important. And it is, you're right. We talk about this all the time. And people really, really don't put enough time and energy into, why do I have the name that I have? Where did it come from? And in truth, the belief system that I have says, well, you chose it.
Absolutely. Why did your soul choose it?
Your soul chose this name for you. And that's why it's not by chance that the things you're experiencing in your life, I can speak to based off of what I'm seeing from reading your name, because it is your name that's carrying these frequencies and these tones and these vibrations. I mean, your name is a vibration. And so every single letter in your name is creating part of that. And so it's, when we're reading that, it's the frequency of it, it's the vibration of it. And it's amazing how when it is your name, your soul chose it for you. So there's no chance in it. It just happened by osmosis. Somebody thought about it or whatever. Well, your soul communicated it to them. If it was your parents that came up with a name, your soul communicated it to them, and they were bringing it in for you. An aunt or a sign, a symbol, something brought it in for you, but it's not by chance.
No, and of course, in my sphere of experience and listening, our souls chose this before we all ever incarnated. So we're all up there, mom, dad, children are up there. Okay, as souls, okay, I'm going to have this vibration, this name, because everything's purposeful, everything. And so thereby, why? I mean, I'm the second. I'm not junior. I'm the second. And it has meaning because of the fact my mother, we joke because my mother was like, I couldn't stand on the porch and yell, Junior! She's like, it just nails on a chalkboard, can't do it. But the second, yes, okay, now it's got the vibration, the stature that she wanted. And yet, on a soul level, that speaks to me immediately. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, we say it in a human way, in a funny human way, and yet on a soul level, on a knowing level, it absolutely resonated with me instantaneously.
And the reading for a junior would not be the same reading for a second. So
Exactly.
just that word shifts the vibration of that whole name, and it creates a totally different reading.
Right. And look at that. Or as you and I have spoken, like just those two letters, JR versus double I.
Hmm.
Two different vibrations, two different energies, two
Hmm.
different meanings that go into your soul purpose reading.
Right. And
It
we've even
shifts it.
gone even further with you to see, well, if we did the two I's, as in a second, and actually spelled out the word second, what would we come up with? And we've done those two readings to see
Yes.
which one felt closer to your experience. And so it really does make a difference.
It absolutely does. And in that example, so in that example, the double I, which is the way it's on my birth certificate, it's the way
Mhm.
I utilize it on any documents I sign, was the one that
Mhm.
spoke to me. And you even said, yeah, this is you. Like, this is
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
The second spelled out, yeah, but no, this
There
one
were there
nails
were
it.
pieces of it, I
Pieces
think,
of it,
but not
absolutely.
but
But
the other
this,
one absolutely read more
correct.
closely to you. Correct.
Absolutely. And so this is where fascinating, because again, your name matters. So that in the soul purpose system is your birth name is the base. What's the
It
terminology in the
it
system?
it's the layer that we use because it represents 85% of your experience.
There we go.
So then there are overlay names that come in, for instance, that would be um, me. I'll use myself as an example. So I had my name that's on my birth certificate that includes my middle name. But for the majority of my younger years, I used Debbie. My official name is Deborah, but I used Debbie instead. So Debbie and my last name became an overlay name. Then I
Yes.
got married, and then that became an overlay. And then I used a shortened version of that name. So that became an overlay. So you have all these different overlays potentially in your life that also bring in different codes, but your birth name plays it's the basic layer. If you're looking at it as a cake, the cake itself is your birth name. And then the icing becomes each overlay.
Right, beautifully. And or like the base, like a wedding cake. The widest layer, the base layer is your birth
Hmm.
name. And then as you
Correct.
tier up, those can be the overlays.
Yes.
And the importance of realizing how those overlay names, remember everything's energy. How are
Hmm.
those overlay names? How is a married name? How is a nickname if you go by this, and I say nickname meaning not just a nickname, but you go by it. So as in
Hmm.
the example that I used with Debbie yesterday, it might be that your name is Victoria, but you go by Jojo. Everyone calls you Jojo.
Hmm.
Well, that becomes an overlay name because you're literally using it in everyday existence with your family, friends, coworkers, and so forth. So that nickname or alternate name becomes an
Right.
overlay. But it has to be,
Right.
as you said, it
It has
has
to
to
be
be
something that's you're significantly known by.
correct.
So
Exactly.
Debbie versus Deborah. Yes. If
Right.
it, and then if you were, you know, Bobby versus Bob, or Bobby versus Robert, you know what I mean? That kind of
Absolutely.
thing. So yeah, it has to be a name that people significantly call you by.
Right. And like my father, James, but he went by Jim.
Hmm.
Everybody knew him by Jim. Only on
Correct.
a formal document was it James. Otherwise, it's Jim. So there's a perfect example of an
Mhm.
overlay and how that will modify or change and bring about different aspects, different traits. What are the three?
Talents.
Talents.
It's challenges, talents, and goals, and
That's
then
it.
there's both a physical and then a spiritual for each of those, and then your soul destiny.
Okay, so let's bring this up while we're here, and then we're going to go to the comments. And
Sure.
again, we're gonna keep addressing your comments and so forth throughout the broadcast. So if you have more, please just keep putting them in, and we will come to them. But I want to show you all and share with you, and then Debbie can go over it. The actual soul purpose system star. So it's up on the screen for everybody. Debbie, why don't you go through and actually show everybody? We're using a Roxanne Smith as a generic example.
Okay. So you can see that this is the Star of David, and we call this our Star of Creation. And so you'll see that there's a downward facing triangle and there's an upward facing triangle. The downward facing triangle is your foundational triangle. It's the triangle of challenges, talents, and goals that you would be focusing on from birth through anywhere from 35 to 42 years of age, depending, each person is different. And then there's the spiritual triangle, the upward facing triangle, that basically becomes your focus after that same period, 35 to 42 years of age. Things start to kick in your teens where you might be having spiritual experiences, some people more so than others, but it really kicks in and becomes your dominant focus at that point later in life, 35 to 42 years of age. And then sitting in the center is your soul destiny, which is, why am I here? What's ultimately the reason that I've incarnated in this lifetime? What does my soul want me to experience and bring forth into this lifetime? But in each one of those triangles, there is a challenge, there is a talent, and there is a goal. So what challenges are you experiencing in your life? What talents do you have that you've brought in with you? They can be latent or active. And then what are the goals? What are you supposed to achieve? And so your challenges can be transmuted. And by transmuting them, they then become additional gifts that you have access to. So you have the talents, which are gifts, and then you have the transmuted challenges, which become gifts. So it's really important for everyone to be really mastering that foundational triangle, your physical triangle, because it's just like a house. Your everything is built on a foundation, and if that foundation isn't solid, isn't really worked through, everything's going to be a little bit rocky. So you need to really make sure that you've really invested in yourself and in mastering your challenges and really activating those talents and achieving your goals.
And something else, Debbie, before I switch back the screen to us and everything, the symbols. And I know that there are symbols that are associated with the soul purpose system and the soul purpose reading, soul essence reading, and so forth. And I know that the symbols specifically spoke to you. And so just share a brief explanation, if you will, about the symbols.
So the symbols equate to each one of the creation codes. Each one of the letters has a symbol associated with it. And that symbol is energy. And so I'm very much focused personally. I would say probably the symbols spoke to me first because I was able to really feel the energy of them. And they're so powerful that you can actually have the symbols, you can meditate with them, you can put them on your refrigerator, you can put them underneath your mattress, and you're working then with the energy of that symbol. So that's in addition helping you to overcome challenges. Or if it's a symbol that's associated with something that's in talent for you, then you can really use the energy of that symbol to help awaken that talent and bring it more online and be more active for you. So for me, it just really spoke to my soul. I think I'm somebody very numbers oriented, symbols oriented. So it really spoke to me that you could utilize that and really effectuate change just through the use of these symbols.
Absolutely. And the beauty of the symbols, and I know you offer these on Facebook and your website and social media and so forth, and also you have some other things in the works with them. The beauty of the fact that they're like mandalas, like you had just mentioned. And so to have them and sit with them, to meditate with them, and they're of course based on the Hebrew Hebrew alphabet. So the symbols, the letters and so forth, and then the symbols associating and so forth. So it's fascinating from that standpoint. One other thing that popped in, and we're going to jump to the comments, was the fact while you were talking about the downward triangle, the upward triangle, and the timing of when things switch and so forth. And what popped in was the awareness of when we have Saturn returns in our lifetimes. And it's real, and Saturn, the great teacher, and these things. And we typically have, I believe, 2, maybe 3 in your lifetime of a Saturn return. And it's the timing of that. So here it is, this beauty of this teachable moments, practical
Hmm.
learning, know thyself. And there's, the great teacher Saturn going, hello. I can see, in the long the
Right.
pointer stick, whack whack whack.
Right. And you know what? It's the same thing as the pinnacles. So there's four pinnacles in our lives, and the first pinnacle is, depending upon your life path number, anywhere from, I guess, 27 to 30, I think 31. But from birth until, say, 27 to 30, 31 years of age. So that's the first pinnacle, and there's a theme that goes with that. And then there's the next pinnacles are each 9 years after that. And what is the theme of each of those pinnacles? Just like you're saying in astrology. So it's very much, again, that is based off of your specific birth date, getting the pinnacles and
Exactly.
getting
Yes.
the life path and what exactly. But it is very much what you're talking about, very much the theme of what else is going on during that time
Right.
frame as well.
And something else important that's popping in, and we're going to go to the comments. I keep saying that. We are. I promise we
You
are.
just keep saying
I keep saying it. I'm aware of myself. See? Know thyself. I'm aware of it. But
that.
things pop in, and I want to share this with all of you. It's much like the soul purpose system, much like our natal birth chart in astrology. In astrology, the natal birth chart is a snapshot in time. And with the soul purpose system, it is the snapshot of the energy of your soul, your name, based on these ancient divination systems. It's a culmination of these things, but it's an energy, it's a snapshot. What I've heard people say is they've used, like, they'll look at their natal birth chart and they'll say, well, I'm this way because.
Right.
And so the point that I want to share with everyone is in this, where you have talents, goals, and challenges in a soul destiny, it's a snapshot. It tells you about yourself, what your soul came to do, experience, and energy and essence of it. And like Debbie articulated, and yet move through, ascend. It's not fixed. Nothing in our existence is fixed. I mean, yes, there are fixed stars, but everything is revolving around this. So you see what I'm saying? It's like, don't use it as a crutch. Use it as an opportunity, a motivation, because
Right.
to transcend, as you've talked about.
Right. And I think if you're having one of these readings, you're probably not in that mindset of, oh, well, this explains why I am the way I am. And, at least the clients that I've been blessed to work with haven't been saying, oh, well, that explains why I am this way, and therefore I'm just going to stay that way. They're looking to transmute, they're looking to ascend, to awaken further. And so
Absolutely.
they're very interested in, how do I overcome this? What can I do to shift this energy? I came in because my soul wanted me to learn specific lessons or learn specific things, but I'm not meant to be that. I'm meant to,
Right.
in most cases, you're meant to transmute that.
Absolutely. It's
Especially
purposeful.
whatever is in
Right.
challenge for you, you're absolutely meant to transmute it. You're not supposed to say, well, yeah, I'm just going to struggle being a communicator, or I'm just going to struggle with being inauthentic. No, that's not.
Right.
It's to bring it to light that this is something you may be experiencing, but it is not what you're meant to experience. You're meant to overcome it.
The beauty of your statement, bring it to light, because in my head I was thinking, what's amazing about the soul purpose system and the soul essence readings is it's like someone's peeking behind the curtain.
Yes,
It's
yes,
like, and you're going, wow. So when you said it, to bring it to light, and in my head it was this whole thing of like, it's like someone's peeking behind the curtain, and you have these, like, oh yeah, oh,
right,
this sees me, it knows me,
exactly.
and thereby you come into the light with it all. So
And
let's
it's
go to
beautiful. Yes. Go
no, let's
ahead,
go.
please.
No,
Go to the comments.
okay. So Brigitte, I know. Finally, I'm sorry, everyone. Thank you so much for being patient with us, patient with me. You can see how impassioned I am and passionate I am about this, because again, it's science and the soul. It's intuiting. It's human design. It's soul purpose, soul essence, and it's about offering tools, resources, these other opportunities for everybody to enlighten, to grow, to expand. And so I get very passionate about it. So, Brigitte, she said, do you feel with the shifts happening now, with moving into the new earth and so many awakening, that these readings will help us shift and clear faster now? The energy seems to support acceleration.
Absolutely. 100%. There's no question.
Yes.
Because absolutely, I mean, I say this to everyone. The first step in anything is awareness. So bringing something into your energy field and awareness of something
Expands you.
immediately expands you. It
Immediately.
allows you to take that next step to shed that layer of whatever that is. If you're unaware or you're not willing to see, self-awareness is a huge part of all of this. But if you're not willing to see that about yourself, you're not going to transmute it, expand it. But the energy of now speaks to rising. And I use that word a lot. It's time to rise. It is time to awaken. It is time to shed this. And yes, if you are aware of these things that are working in the background, experiences that you're supposed to overcome, that we haven't gotten to this, but the soul purpose system has polarity themes to it. There are 7. So if you become aware that you have a polarity theme that you're working through, it suddenly becomes one of these aha moments. Oh, yes, I've had fertility issues. Oh, okay, so now I understand. Oh, I've had financial ups and downs. We see that throughout the system. You know, I'm been at war with myself, with other people. That's another thing. You've experienced a lot of loss, life, death, polarity themes. When you're aware of it and it's alive in your energy field and the knowingness expands it, it absolutely transmutes that much faster.
Absolutely. And something with this, Brigitte, is as well, and Debbie said, like when you have these polarities. So when you see and you have human design and you use your natal birth chart in astrology, and you have intuitive readings, and you have the soul purpose system reading, when you start to see the commonality of the threads, the polarities, the ups and downs, that's an awakening. It's always opportunity. It can be that it's a trait or a talent, it's already a positive, or it's a challenge. It's still a positive aspect for you because it's what you're meant to transcend or to utilize so as to be greater, more expansive, higher. So it's to pay attention. The reason I'm bringing this up is look for the commonality, because it sparked in my mind. I know in my own personal reading with you from the soul purpose system, and then from numerology and so forth, and the commonality of the thread. And it's powerful, right? Because you realize, well, if they're all saying the same thing, I might want to pay attention.
Well, you know what? And the interesting thing, and I've seen this in a lot, and I really take the time to go through people's charts and say to them, are you seeing the theme here? Are you seeing what's going on here? Because they all are intricately woven to affect one another. So when you shift one, the others start to shift, because they're all, if you are being inauthentic and you're experiencing depression and anxiety and other things in your life, well, that's also because you're being inauthentic. So when you come into alignment with your authentic self, those things start to shift, because now you're not out of alignment. You're coming back into full alignment with self-centered and who you're meant to be as a soul. So they all play together. So it's really looking at how every divination system brings similar themes in and being aware of them.
And just to wrap up on Brigitte's comment, yes, because as we're doing, remember from yesterday's show, small influences, I believe hexagram number 9, small influences. So as we each, as Brigitte said, yes, I'm going to have a reading, that small influence, that's Wallace D. Wattles, small acts in great ways that move you. While simultaneously, of course, the whole of the whole, source, universe, is effectuating change, is ushering in and delivering new energies. We are advancing. We are leaving the patriarchal Piscean era. We've already technically left, and are arriving in the matriarchal Aquarian energy, We can see the battle between the two going on, the ones that don't want it to go away, and those that can't wait for it to get here, are running forward. So, and the beauty is the arc of this energy arcs forward. It doesn't reverse itself. It doesn't go backwards. The procession does not go backwards. I mean, the procession is counterclockwise, but what I'm saying is we don't regress, we progress.
Right.
So yes, Brigitte, it's going to absolutely help the ripple effect of everything. I want to go to Lori's comment. She said, I had a soul session with Debbie and it was life-changing for me. After the session, I now can look at things in my life and say, oh, wow, now I know why I did that. But now I have the tools to improve myself and my life. The sessions are so accurate. She was reading me like she had known me all my life. Debbie is amazing.
Oh, ditto. Hi, Lori. Mwah, to you for that. You're so sweet.
Ditto. So
it was my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. A gift to be able to do that. Thank you, Lori.
Jennifer is saying, that's really interesting because she's speaking about names and the use of names and everything. Because I was born with one name and my mother refused to use it. When she divorced my father, she changed my name without asking me. As an adult, I have chosen to use my original name because I have always felt like I wanted that girl back. Ooh. I know, right? Ooh, ripple.
That mic just drop. Rippled through me.
Mic drop. Never thought that it was my soul choosing it. Just went with it because it feels more like me. And there's the beauty, there's the conflict, the challenge, and the opportunity. You know, again, that beauty, Debbie, of, the pearl, without an irritant, without a grain of sand, some form of an irritant, the oyster never produces the pearl. And here in Jennifer's case, look at what her soul knew.
Her soul knew, yes.
Hey, wait a second. First of all, you didn't ask me.
Right, exactly. Tap, tap, tap. The tap, 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 something's not quite right. And you find your way back to what speaks to her soul. And that's beautiful. I love that.
And isn't that a beautiful theme for everybody, for Jennifer and for everybody? Find your way back. Find your way back to your soul. Find your way back to what is the meaning and the purpose, the divine soul purpose of my name, the energy of my name. And the soul purpose system, of course, the soul essence readings that Debbie offers, yes, it's an absolute, literal, immediate, practical tool for you. And then you can expand because it's like doing ancestry, searching and so forth. Everybody wants to know who they are, where they came from.
Right.
Well, okay, let's take that a step further and go to the root of our ancestry, which is our soul.
Yeah, there's nothing more beautiful, and it's truth. You just can't deny the information that comes out. Well, you can until you're ready, but ultimately, everyone that has these done says that they just can't get over it because it is amazing.
They're amazing,
and I'm one of the people saying it every single time. Like it's amazing. And every reading, there's reciprocity in everything. You and I talk about that all the time. So I always personally receive from each of these readings that I do, but what a gift to be able to share this information with people. That's the gift also that I receive.
Isn't it? It really truly is. I know DearJames, we speak about this all the time in the sense of the human design system, as you do, as you and I speak to with intuiting. We're in constant reciprocity, and the gift and the beauty of that, because as we read, and we speak to this on the shows, on the Wednesday and Thursday shows, we thank our audience and our listeners and everything because the expansion that we receive collectively is massive. It's huge. So we're always saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Brigitte, I need to shed my married Welsh name and just go by my birth name, Furi. I hope I pronounced that right. I know I want to pronounce it right. The funny thing, I'm getting intuitively, and I would just want to offer this, Brigitte. We don't typically do this on Thursday's show, but yes, and before you shed your married Welsh name, find its purpose. find its, because it's an overlay name, right? In the soul purpose system, Debbie, it's an overlay name.
Correct. Find
It's
what it's bringing in.
find out
Because
what
each
it's,
is bringing
yes,
something in for her, and
absolutely.
whether or not, it may counter something that's in challenge by further bringing in something to offset that, is I guess the better way to say that. She may be bringing in something positive from her Welsh birth married name to offset something that's in her birth name.
Right.
So it's always worth looking at.
Right. And or vice versa. It could be that, it
Correct.
could, however, again, without the irritant. And so like with Jennifer, it's not about not, you listen to your soul. So what you know to be true for you, like Jennifer, I'm taking my original birth name. That is what is my soul knows. It's what it absolutely fits with me. That's what I'm doing. And absolutely sovereign, whole and sovereign and so forth. Yes. Just in that sense, like they're saying to me, like, just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Investigate why the overlay names. What are they bringing in so that you have a more complete picture? Because again, your soul chose it for a reason. It's purposeful. So look at them and yes, then go as soul,
Right, because
soul
if
guided.
she, when she got married, had made the choice to not take that name because something inside her said not to and to keep her birth name, then that would totally make sense. But at that moment, she made that decision, and so she was guided to do that for whatever reason. So now it's, what was that? If
Right.
she's also questioning that.
And societally, of course, for women, it was very prevalent, dominant, that the woman give up her
Correct.
maiden name to take the married name, patriarchal, Piscean. Hello.
Hmm.
However, now, of course, and we've seen for decades now where women don't do that, or they're hyphenating, or they just keep their maiden name and so forth. So again, it's just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater in the sense of know thyself, look
Right.
into it, so that, like with Debbie, you can have your base name, your birth name reading, the foundation of your cake, and then here's an overlay reading. How did the married name affect you? What did it bring
Hmm.
in? What did it shift or offer? So that
Right.
you're able to see the two, and then go forth and conquer
Right.
as your soul desires, as you feel aligned with it. Um, want to come back Lori, she said, "Oh wow, I love that about the symbols. I have to do that. Yes, they're so powerful to sit and meditate or focus on a symbol and see what comes to you. How it. I had an experience one time. We called it the Sacred Seven, and this mandala was sat under my chair, and one of the practitioners started doing the singing bowls around me with this mandala under my chair. That experience to this day profoundly shifted me. I mean, you want to talk about sobbing? What is it? Angry crying, or what do they call that? Like where you just sob. It was
I'm not
crazy.
sure.
There's a term for it. You guys will tell me. Put it in the comments, please. Put it in the comments. You know what I'm talking about. But it's where, because it just shifted you, and that's again with these symbols from the soul purpose system, and how deeply they resonated with you, Debbie.
Right.
Amazing. I mean, it was really truly one of the things that leapt off the page for you was the symbols.
Right.
Um,
And Lori is saying about the symbols. And at the time that I was doing Lori's reading, I didn't have them accessible online, but they are accessible online
they're
now.
there now.
Yeah.
Um, Haley also said, "I love the symbols. There is something visually attractive to me about Arabic and many other languages. I love other languages, though my favorite subjects they as my favorite subjects at school." And so, yes, again, visual people, the symbology of things, the scripted beauty of them, and
Hmm.
again,
Absolutely.
the energy of them,
Hmm.
because they
And some
do.
are more fluid and flowing, and others are more geometric,
Absolutely, more. I want to say fixed, but I hesitate to use
more
that word.
solid, more
Solid, right? A
foundational.
erudite and so forth,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Hmm.
flowing. And
Correct.
we have a Facebook user saying hello, hello back. Brigitte said, "Love it." Um, Facebook user saying, I think I need a reading with Debbie. And I'm like, I think I need a reading, Debbie. Yes, direct message her, go to her website. Yes, yes,
Yes, I'm
yes.
sorry we don't know who you are, but yes, please do.
Yes. And lastly, Haley said, funny you should say that, Brigitte. I feel like that about my Welsh married name. I've already had one realization that a business name I've thought of for years is H. Evans above, clearly linking me back to source.
Oh, I love
So,
that, Haley.
messy cry, that's it, messy cry. See, I knew if somebody would say, yeah, that's it, a messy cry. Yeah, so see, this is the piece where, again, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater in terms of names and the names you're using and the names you've
Right.
chosen or married into, chosen, and because again, everything's purposeful.
Hmm.
So this is where the value comes to play with this.
Sorry, I'm reading Jennifer's message. She's the Facebook user.
That was me, Jennifer, who said I need a reading. Funny that my name didn't show. Yes, absolutely. So yes, Jennifer. Yeah, sometimes Facebook and YouTube and all of them, and they just kind of do their thing. So
Right.
it's allowing you to be incognito in this moment.
Yes, yes. And I want to just address Lori's question. Yes, Lori, they are on my website. So if you go into my shop, you'll see them there so that you can download them in the shop.
And before we wrap up and do some final things, I do want to bring up on the screen, Debbie, this is Endless Essences. It's up on the screen, www.endlessessences.com. You are able to reach out to her on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, her website, schedule, and there are many other beautiful essences. The entire beauty of Debbie's gifts and what she's working with is the endless essence of things. And of course, your soul is certainly an endless essence. So that's why
Yes.
that's why I love the beauty of your business name and just the timelessness of it. It's the power involved. It's beautiful.
Yes, it
So,
is. Thank you.
Debbie, anything you want everybody listening to hear, or anything they know how to reach you?
Um,
And
yeah, I'd like to share that the readings themselves are, as you say, eerily accurate, excuse me. If you're looking for further information about yourself, why things have played out for you in your life, you're looking to up level, you want to raise your frequency, shift, in knowing this information about yourself, it's critical. So it really helps to move you forward. And as I said, each one I'm in shock over. And I just think that it's a gift that you can give to yourself. I know it was for me. And so I get off of every reading and I'm just so thrilled and so excited because I know I've made a difference in someone's life. I know that this reading, which isn't me, I'm just the conduit to share it, but the time that I personally have spent sharing space with someone like this, it makes my heart sing. And so I'm very grateful to each one of my clients for the time that they've spent with me. And I highly recommend it.
as do I. And I want to close with this with everyone. As I said at the top of the show, Debbie is a dear friend, a colleague, a fellow spiritual entrepreneur, and fellow journeyer that I couldn't be more happy and thrilled to call a friend and to travel with. That aside, because I'm always about full disclosure and everything, that aside, what I can attest to about the Soul Purpose System and Debbie specifically is her authenticity. And I say it in my testimonial for her, you won't find somebody that has greater integrity. Her soul, S-O-U-L and S-O-L-E, her soul purpose is your highest and best. It is your expansion, awareness. It's what she comes in to offer everyone. And so from that standpoint, I just offer this personal testimonial that the system is eerily accurate. You've heard me say it 10 times now. It is amazing. It is literal, practical, immediate, and then Debbie adds a layer to it of just a great depth and genuineness and authenticity and so forth. And she genuinely cares. And that makes a massive difference because there are multiple different practitioners. There's a million intuitives. There's, human design experts and so forth. But what's so amazing is that all of us really do genuinely care, and we want to offer to everybody listening the best. That's the sole purpose for us, and that is Debbie's sole purpose. So I just want to close with that for everybody. Thank you all so much for listening to Science in the Soul with our first featured guest, Debbie Wilson with Endless Essences, who offers soul essence readings based on the soul purpose system. And the Lady Jaclyn and I couldn't be more honored to have you. So thank you again, Debbie. And,
thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for listening. I'm very grateful.
And we will be back. The Lady Jaclyn and I will be back next week with our Wednesday show, Human Design and Intuitive Insights. And then next Thursday with a new show on Science and the Soul. Thank you all again. We love you. And as we often ask, if you loved this, please like, share, subscribe, tag people and so forth, and spread the word. And definitely go visit Debbie at www.endlessessences.com. We'll see you next week.